You ever get the feeling your life is about to turn into a bad reality show, but you don't know it yet? Yeah, that was me, Zachary Irving, the guy who figured, hey, how hard can suburbia be? Let me tell you, if I'd known what a woman with a clipboard and a grudge could do, maybe I would have just stayed in my cramped old apartment. But hindsight and all that. My story starts with snow, Colorado Springs, the kind of blizzard where you can't see your own hand in front of your face. I'm standing there watching my van get towed down the street, my 12-year-old daughter Julia still inside. I know, right? You can't make this stuff up. But let's back up a second. I moved to Meadowbrook Heights with Julia just a few months before. I was fresh out of a divorce, emotionally and financially tapped, hoping this neat little community with its picket fences and neat lawns was a good place for a reset. Julia's my world. She's got cerebral palsy, uses a wheelchair, and needs a lot of support. That van, the one that's now being dragged away in a snowstorm. It's my lifeline. Well, her lifeline. It's got a wheelchair lift space for all her stuff. It's old and ugly. But it's what I could manage after the split cleaned out my bank account. On our second day in the neighborhood, Brenda showed up. Clipboard, tablet, smile that could crack granite but never quite reached her eyes. She had the kind of haircut that tells you I mean business and I might just ask to speak to your manager. She handed me this binder of HOA rules thick enough to stun a bull if you dropped it. Paint colors, grass length, fence height, vehicle parking. You name it, there was a rule for it. She caught sight of my van in the driveway. Section 12, paragraph 4, she tells me no overnight parking in the driveway. Vehicles go in garages only. I tried to explain the garage was full of boxes, still unpacking, new guy here, give me a break. No dice. Rules were rules, and Brenda was the high priestess of compliance. That should have been my first clue. The next weeks were a test. I tried. I really did. Lawn too long. Mow it twice a week in January because why not trash cans out a few hours early? $50 fine. Christmas wreath not on the approved list. Take it down. Julia loved that wreath. Silver bells that jingled in the wind. Swapped it for one of Brenda's picks because fighting wasn't worth it. Then came that Tuesday in January. Snow everywhere, school shut, work canceled. I got Julia home canceled. Her therapy promised her a movie marathon in the van, our thing when life got rough. I parked in the driveway just to unload some medical supplies, told Julia I'd be 5 minutes. She was all bundled up in the back TV on her favorite stuffed elephant. I ran inside to make real hot chocolate, none of that powdered stuff. My hands were just starting to thaw when my phone buzzed. Email from Brenda, urgent violation. Commercial vehicle in driveway. 15 minutes to move it or it gets towed. She'd classified my van as commercial because of its size and cargo space. Never mind the wheelchair decal, never mind my daughter. I started typing a reply trying to explain. Never got to send it. Heard the diesel engine outside first. Ran to the window, massive tow truck in the blizzard, Brenda on the sidewalk, umbrella up, arms waving. I burst out the door yelling, "My daughter's in that van." The snow and wind swallowed my words. Slipped down the drive shoes filling with snow, tried to get to the driver guy in his 50s, annoyed then confused when I told him there was a kid inside. Brenda told him I was lying. She stood there cool as you please, said I should have thought about that before breaking the rules. They towed the van anyway. Watching that taillight vanish in the snow with Julia inside. There's a kind of terror you can't put into words. Ran back inside, called her cell, no answer. 911. Rambling, frantic words tumbling out. Dispatcher kept telling me to slow down. The van was on its way across town in a blizzard with my disabled kid alone in the back. I grabbed my car keys, ignored the dispatcher's plea to stay put. Civic fishtailing down snow-choked streets every minute, feeling like a lifetime. Phone rings, cop at the towing company. Van's not there yet. Roads are bad, maybe the driver pulled over. Maybe that's good. Maybe Julia's safe as long as nothing goes wrong. But she needs her meds on schedule. I'm her dad, supposed to keep her safe. I let this happen. Second call, it's Julia's number. I damn near crashed trying to answer. Her voice small, scared. "Dad, why's the van moving?" I try to keep my voice calm. "Sweetheart, there's been a mistake. I'm coming. Can you reach the emergency horn?" I hear her fumble, then that sound horn blaring over the phone. Finally, the van stops. Driver checks on her, realizes what's happening. I'm only 10 minutes away. I'll never forget the relief when I saw those hazard lights through the storm. Pulled over, ran to the back driver named Dale, sitting with Julia, apologizing a mile a minute. He'd been told it was an abandoned commercial van. Brenda never mentioned my daughter. Police showed up, statements taken. Julia bundled up, scared but safe. Officer Chen, young guy with a kind smile, told me they'd handle it from here. I wanted Brenda to pay. I said as much. The cops drove us home. Julia asked, "Are we going to have to move again?" Broke my heart. "No, honey, this is our home." Tucked her into bed, then sat downstairs with the sergeant detailing every time Brenda harassed us. They arrested Brenda that night, handcuffed her in front of her house neighbors peeking through curtains. Over the next days, the neighborhood exploded. Turns out Brenda had a long history: fines for wrong grass color, plumbers fined for parking, veterans hassled for therapy dogs. People started sharing their stories, a petition to recall the HOA board. News crews showed up. Headlines everywhere: HOA president arrested for towing van with disabled child in blizzard. My phone blew up. I gave one interview. Asked for privacy for Julia. She was shaking nightmares every night, couldn't sit in the van anymore. Legal gears turned fast. Brenda's arraignment, criminal charges for endangerment and false imprisonment. She spent a few days in jail before her husband managed bail. HOA suspended her. I got a lawyer, a civil rights guy named Marcus. "You've got a hell of a case," he said. "We're suing Brenda personally and the HOA." The DA, Patricia, took it personal too. She had a special needs kid. She promised to push for the harshest charges. Trial prep was grueling. They kept Julia out of court, thank God. Dale testified he heard me yell, saw Brenda, tell him I was lying. Brenda tried to claim it was a misunderstanding, but her own email, the testimony, the pattern of harassment, none of it looked good for her. The jury didn't take long. Guilty on all counts. Sentencing day. Brenda stood there, older, smaller still, trying to justify herself. The judge didn't buy it. 4.5 years. Restitution. Banned from HOAs forever. The neighborhood felt it too. New board, new rules. The single mom plumber got elected president. First thing she did was throw out all of Brenda's old ordinances. The air felt lighter. People started talking to each other again. Not just because of what happened to us, but because they realized nobody should be ruled by fear over a patch of grass or a driveway. The settlement money helped. Covered therapy, home improvements, made the garage a space Julia and I could share. Movie marathons in there now, never in the van. That's her choice. Can't blame her. One day, months after everything, I got a letter from Brenda. She wrote from prison, said she finally understood what she'd done, apologized for hurting Julia and me. I read it, didn't reply. Sometimes the story's done. Nothing left to say. Julia bounced back. It took time, therapy, support, lots of late-night talks. She even spoke at the signing ceremony when the state passed Julia's law requiring HOA boards to get disability rights training. Her voice shook, but she did it. I never thought my little girl would be an advocate. She's got more guts than anyone I know. We stayed in Meadowbrook Heights, not because of stubbornness, but because we refused to be chased out. The neighbors rallied around us. Julia thrived, special summer programs, top grades, new friends. She still wants to be a marine biologist, dreams of helping injured dolphins. I'd bet the house she'll get there. Life kept moving. The HOA became what it should be, a community, not a dictatorship. I joined the accessibility committee, helped make real changes. Rachel ran the board with actual compassion. My ex-wife Linda and I even figured out co-parenting. Not perfect, but better. Julia deserved both of us, and she got it. Brenda served most of her sentence, moved away after parole. Good riddance. The legacy she left behind wasn't fear, it was reform. Julia's law, new protections, other families speaking up, changes that meant no other kid would face what mine did. Sometimes Julia asks about that day, the van, the blizzard, the terror. We talk about it, we don't let it define her, but we don't hide from it either. She'll tell you herself. Something scary happened, but I survived it. It made me stronger. That's the truth. Looking back, I learned a few things the hard way. You fight for what's right, even when it hurts. Most people, when it comes down to it, are decent. Sometimes the worst brings out the best: tow truck drivers who do the right thing, cops who go above and beyond, neighbors who finally stand up. And power, even the small kind, can poison good people. It's up to the rest of us to hold them accountable. Sometimes that means a courtroom. Sometimes it means a conversation. Sometimes it means just staying put and refusing to be bullied out of your home. Justice was served. My daughter healed. The community changed for the better. I wouldn't wish what we went through on anyone, but if our story stopped another Brenda from hurting another family, worth it. So let me ask you, where's the line between keeping order and abusing power? Have you ever dealt with someone like Brenda? Someone who let a little authority go to their head? What did you do? Did you fight back, or did you let it go? I'd love to hear your stories, your thoughts. Maybe together we can keep folks like Brenda from turning a neighborhood into a nightmare again.